Okay, friends, we're streaming. It's been a while. My first stream in quite a while. Not feeling super well. I'm in Japan. It's my last day in Japan. But I wanted to go over some stuff and get this recorded as we develop some of the new core features to kind of work through it. I'm going to be hacking on this. Um, could go well, it could go bad. We'll see. Um, so this is the new V2 core. There's a lot of changes, but also the API hasn't really changed very much. Um, a lot of it's the same, but go into like the base. There's like a lot of new types, a lot of TypeScript. You can see the agent runtime is now strongly typed with generics, and these generics let us, um, when we construct this, we can define more of like what is the state, what are the sort of things going in, things going out, and we can build different kinds of agents on this. So it's a lot less hard coded, a lot less code that is uh, specific to like one model or one provider, and you can choose your own context. A lot more flexible. Um, our runtime hasn't changed too much. We have a generic agent runtime, and then we have an Eliza runtime on top of that. We'll see if this is how we want to do it. We might kind of want it just to be the agent runtime and not to have this kind of extended class, but for now, it's working. You could theoretically just build your own agent runtime that didn't have, for instance, like rooms and room state and all this stuff. That's kind of how it's going. But we're trying to find the right level of atomicity for that still. Um, we want to be able to compose state. You can see we have kind of some messages, actions, thoughts, the room we're in, stuff like that. Still in development. Um, but you could also override and compose your own state, extend the state, whatever you want. So Uh, yeah, it's like the actual API hasn't changed very much. But our agent right now, the agent that we're working on here, is quite different. It has changed a lot. This is still very, very much in development. Let's see. So we're gonna start just kind of hacking on the inventory. Um, Inventory is our unified wallet abstraction, but it can also do things that aren't wallets. So let's say you're making a game and you want to have actions that your agent can do with the stuff in its in its inventory. You might not care about a Web3 wallet at all. And we don't want Eliza to be a Web3 framework. It never was, it never is. It just has a lot of plugins for wallets and things like that. Um, we want those to be unified because in the last version, the problem that we started to have, go to like Eliza, um, a lot of the problem is we have all these different wallet plugins. Dash. And we have plugins for like Abstract, Aptos, Avalanche, and that's good. Like the plugins are fine, but we probably don't want the plugins in the repo. Kind of adds a lot of potential bloat. It makes it kind of complex, and really just makes merging really hard. If I go to Eliza OS, like one of the big problems we're trying to solve is like how do we keep this pull request number down? Like you shouldn't have to make a pull request for your plugin. You should just be able to build your plugin and then add it to your agent. And probably like most of these, if I go through, like most of them are new plugins. So what we're doing is more of like a plugin registry. And this is one of the big changes is that it will support like we don't need all these different plugins. We especially don't need all these different wallet plugins to be here. We'll build a unified abstraction so that it knows how to handle these, and then you just attach the ones you want. And so like most items have a the same actions. Like most inventory like providers, let's call them. So we have like an inventory provider. Um, and what kind of actions does it have? It has swap, which is like or like basically exchange, right? Some item for another item on an exchange of some sort. Um, you might have mint, right? Create a new item. burn, transfer, balance. These are all pretty good. Then you could have some more like crazy ones like lend, right? Um, LP, um, I don't know, whatever you kind of want. But they're not all going to be the same for every single chain. Like not every chain can, some of the chains can just do this out of the box. Some of them, um, you'd have to go to some platform. If we're working with like Goat, the Great On Chain Toolkit, well, they have all kinds of different actions. We might want to add those in as available on different possible hosts or wallet providers, inventory providers, whatever. We're not really sure yet. So what we want a flexible system that allows us to call the right inventory action um, on the right provider of inventory. And a provider is usually like, get me all of the stuff in my Polygon wallet, or my Arbitrum wallet, or whatever, right? I want to see what's in there, and then I want to perform some action on it. And it could be cool if I'm like, okay, well, another good one would be bridge, right? Can I bridge from Polygon to Arbitrum? That'd be pretty sick. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we're going to need some sort of like we need a context provider. So even in V2, we still have these main abstractions of provider, um, evaluator, and actions. Very loud person. And can I just like mute you? Thank you. Okay, so we have these providers, evaluators, actions, right? And let's see. The first thing we want, like, um, so the goal of the inventory provider is to take all registered um, in like wallets. We'll have to have some other name for all this stuff, but like, um, inventory content asset. Oh, I don't know what the freaking subname there is. Um, because we have, I mean, I guess we'll just call it inventory and we'll just add inventory in as like a first class. And then an inventory provider would be like a specific wallet. And we're calling them inventory because I think it's a good abstraction for games. And I think that it'll just like, it'll roll up better to a generalization than like a wallet will. Although I'd say that a wallet is sort of a type of um, like a it's got all the same actions as an inventory. Like if I forged a sword or I like converted 3 iron to a sword or something like that, then like that's not very different than doing a swap or doing a mint. And I kind of like how NFTs and FTs like map really well to like these concepts of items and gold and stuff. So so we'll just do inventory um, as part of our context, right? Um, and then we want to register things to it. So the agent will have an inventory. We'll make a new instance of it, I suppose. Like, how do we want to do it? Because we could just add the inventory to the agent, right? So we could go to the runtime, say, okay, Eliza runtime, have a constructor, and we'll say, okay, well, this dot memories, and we can say like this dot inventory, um, and then it would just be like, I don't know, like that, right? That could be fine. Um, but I don't love that. So I think we'll just make it like a class, and then we can just import the class, and we can work on it over here. So class inventory, and it is a context provider. I'm wondering if we want to like grab an existing provider and think about it as one of those. Like, let's just go to V1 and let's just look at providers, for example. Um, Go to like Bootstrap. We can see we have uh, like the time provider. And so you can see we have this provider abstraction. It has a get function. Um, that's kind of fine. Um, we want to get all of the attached inventory providers and show them and format them. So we can see in the agent runtime, we have like these different like model provider, image provider. We have the available providers here, which are things that we get and pull in. Like this would be fine. I guess what I'm wondering though is how do we'll just do it as a class for now, and then we can like always change it around. So, so what do we need? We need I'm wondering if we want to format it as a plugin. 'Cause it would certainly work that way. We'll just copy the Bootstrap plugin and we'll just kind of do it as a plugin now. And then we'll get back to seeing how it kind of fits in. Because it could be a plugin. Um, and then it's not such like a first class thing, but it's not a first class thing. Um, um, let's see. Okay, real life stuff. Um, and we can see that like we might want an action, we might want an evaluator and a provider. Um, that seems fine. Also, hmm, hmm, do it inside of the agent. This is the question: is like, do we want this as a plugin or do we want it first class? And I keep going back and forth on this. I think for now, let's just do it first class. And we'll just say, okay, so we have a um, inventory provider, and this is going to be const inventory provider equals provider. We'll import this from types. We can see that provider takes a state in the memory. Do we have any providers in the new system? That'd be kind of cool, right? Probably do. If we look in our index, I think if we do, like weather, we'd have weather. Well, there's action. We could do like this. I think I'll want to chew on this a little bit though. Here's the actual like get the weather and return it. Um, I think I'll just class this out for now. I think it'll be a lot easier to just spew on it independently and then we'll kind of make it work. So we have, let's say we have invent or yeah, what's another word for providers? We could say wallets or let's ask Claude question. Um, have an inventory provider. Just need some names. Provider, and I want to hook some to it. Wallets and other inventories, for example, games inventory, etc. Should I name that? Maybe we'll get a good name. I'm very, very not feeling well, so my brain's not doing so well. Inventory source. I like that. That's pretty good. Inventory sources. I like that. Yeah. And we'll say, okay, type inventory source. We have a name, we have description, we have some items. Maybe we have some actions, right? And those are like actions you can call on that inventory. Um, Now, that's probably not a string, but we'll figure that out. So we have some inventory systems, inventory sources, and then we're going to want to register. I guess we could do it that way. That seems fine. Make the default. Um, Now we're going to want to get, which finds, we'll say format as a well, we can get the item. I don't think that's what we want. We want to get the whole thing. Let's just say return the entire inventory. So yeah, we're gonna say, okay, well, let's return it, but we probably want to format it. So we'll say sync format inventory, return the inventory sources. And we should probably create one, right? Const inventory source. And you can see it's got some items. Now the items probably need like a here, and then we can type it. Go. Um, like what is an inventory item? Type inventory item. We have a name, description, we, um, and we kind of have like the ticker and the like. There's the name, ticker, address, description, actions. Um, Seem obvious, and quantity, probably quantity, right? And then we can say, okay, well, items will be um, that's our quantity, and then we have type, inventory, action. This probably takes um, it has a handler, it has a name, description, parameters, handler. We'll probably want to like use Zod to type these, um, but we don't really know what they're going to be yet. Um, we'll see. It's probably some sort of generic. And then we can say, okay, cool. So that's going to be there. Inventory source. I'm just kind of getting this out of my head for the first time. So it is going to be pretty rough. Items. Well, we should make one. Const inventory item. Inventory item name is 16Z. Address. Let's go get it. Because we do this with Solana, that'd be pretty cool, right? That would be the like way to go. Description. Looking good. Actions. We can swap. We can transfer. Burn. And quantity. I think 100 is fine. This is just an example. Example inventory item, right? I just want to make sure it works with semi-real data at least. Um, oh, we probably don't need the actions here, actually. We probably just need the items, because like if it's in that, they're all going to have the same capability. That's my sense. Inventory item. Okay. And then our inventory item sits in here. We have some actions. We'll say const inventory action swap. Get imports odd. Handler, which returns the item. We could say like JSON.stringify just to have it now. Say inventory, we'll just say transfer action. And this is just that people are scamming us. Um, it do be like that, huh? Well, anyway, not my biz. Somebody else can fix that. Okay. 200. Transfer action, swap action. These are fine. I'm just kind of hacking this shit together. It's nothing perfect. And then we have the inventory source, and then we have the inventory provider, right? So um, typically, well, if we put the inventory sources on the runtime, then we could make this a provider. And then I think that's what we want to do, probably. Um, let's just say, okay, we'll export. I want to move these to types. Types. Just put it at the end. Not feeling very well. So it's easier before I started feeling that well. Okay, I'm gonna be a little very brain dead today. Like starting to feel quite sick. Um, okay, so we have the inventory item, we have the action, the other action. Now we have this inventory source, which we'll import. And now instead of having this be a provider, we can say const equals create provider. Um, let's actually create action now. We should make sure that this is the way we want it to be. Lego changed this, and I'm still understanding some of the things that were changed. They're quite different than how they were. You can see that it does have the validate and handler, and that's all good for the create action. But we also do want to make sure that we're getting the right context. So let's look for context. Where are we getting context from? Text, prompt, text loader. So this dynamically loads the context now. Um, agent, see we have these contexts. We have context loader.md. We're now using not JSON, but XML. And this is going to load contexts that we want. These contexts are probably getting loaded from contexts. Actually, don't know. Yeah, load prompt moderator. Um, yeah, so this is loading context this way. It's okay, but a little confusing. Do we have any other examples of this? We have the system defines the core personality. I'm not going to worry about this too much. I think it's just like it's not quite right yet, and it's going to limit us and slow us down. So we're just going to kind of keep cooking with the provider. And then that's going to have a get, which will, so we'll actually pull this from the runtime, I guess. Get, return, pull this types. And get should take should have a runtime. Let's see. Takes a state, takes a memory. Be nice if we had some of these implemented already. A little easier to figure out. Hmm. Could be state and memory and message, but it should actually have a runtime. This is a little confusing to me. Um, yeah, this is what I'm looking for. It actually takes the, right, so this is the generic, takes the runtime memory state. Cool. Message state. And then we could say, okay, well, um, get the inventory sources, inventory from the runtime. And maybe the way we could do this, we could say agent runtime. We can see we have like the character, clients, plugins, evaluators, inventory, and maybe instead of inventory source and inventory, we'll just do it like this. This will be better. Go to our types. Provider, call this. I guess that's the way to do it. Is to have like an array of inventory providers in the inventory. Then we don't have like an inventory option, we just have an inventory. All agents probably have to have stuff. Jeez, maybe rapidly deteriorating. Um, it's going to be memory. State is going to be a state. What we want to do when we get the inventory is we're going to return. Well, so we have the runtime.inventory here, and so we probably want like a function format inventory. It's probably fine. Um, Return map. Um, how do we want to do this? For each inventory item, um, display the name of the inventory. Or for each inventory source, display the name of the inventory, then the items, then the available actions. Right? So we can return those. Name, quantity, probably fine. Um, we have an address. We might want, right? So we have an address. And then we have the actions available, which we can do something like join. That's kind of like return the name, then the list of items. This list gross a little bit. It's kind of formatted like that. It's fine. And then we join it all together. So then we'll say, okay, well now turn format the runtime inventory. So we have the items in the inventory, which we want to put somewhere like our, um, well, we can probably just move these into the agent in this case. format the inventory provider. This is what we're going to bring into our agent. So we'll probably want to at. Oh, right. And we can just bring the inventory into compose state then in that case. Maybe we don't even need this. So let's go to our agent. So we have these things, create some actions, type file. This is declared here. Rebuild. These types exist in the agent. Why is there a plugin? What's that? Let's runtime. The Eliza runtime. Let's extend the agent runtime. That's weird because it does have agent runtime here, does have the inventory. Maybe it's missing. Class. Okay. Build, hopefully. These classes have problems. What happens? I'll be streaming more with more energy once I stop being so sick. Do that right. Develop. Okay, cool. It built. Now we can go to our agent and we should get the types. Want. Yep. Port. Port. Instead of inventory source, is going to be inventory provider. Example inventory provider. And then okay, maybe that was just like a type issue from the old version. Cool. I have to rebuild. Okay. Now I have this inventory provider. So once I create my agent, say agent dot register inventory provider, right? I can add that there. Nope, it's not gonna work. And that will push it in. Okay, so now the inventory is like a first class thing on the runtime. What if people don't want an inventory? That's too bad. It's just like an empty object. It doesn't cost anything. If you don't register, it's just going to be an empty array. Register it. Well, now we have an inventory provider, right? So we have this inventory item. We have like 100 of this token. We have a swap action. We have a transfer action. Um, what we should do here um, with the actions is the log swapping for something. Um, this is actually kind of wrong. We just want swap one token for one inventory item for another, right? Um, swapping item name. I don't even think we want this. I think we want it to be like this, and the handler should just be like params, right? And then it can be types later. So then we'll say like console.log swapping. Let me think about how we call this swap because we actually don't want. This is like, let me think about this. How do we want the inventory action to work? I kind of got this pieced out. Um, so first, uh, register the available inventory providers. Cool, that's easy enough. Then um, get them in the context, right? So we want like a get inventory, and we can do that in two ways. I think we can compose the state, and those items become available in state, or we could inject them as a dynamic context, like another, just any other provider. But I think that it'll be a little less annoying if it's just like inventory is part of the agent and not like some additional provider that you have to add. But maybe I'm just a little foggy because I'm feeling sick, so it's hard to think about that. Let's just roll with it the way it is. Right now, it's kind of hard coded into the runtime. Um, but you don't have to use it. So, so register the available inventory providers, then we put them in the context. So now we know that they're there. Now we want to, um, a- and we have the format function. So do we want to like get them from compose state? State. Good. We can see that we compose the state here. So when we get a room message, we compose the state, um, which means we need to make sure that we define our state, right? So probably when we create the runtime, we're going to do that. Um, so we say new Eliza runtime. It's just pulling in the defaults. See, it's pulling in the state. Agent room messages actors. Um, I'll hard code it for now. Inventory. I think that's good. That's kind of like just there. So then when we compose the state, function state, see that we have this here equals format inventory. So we have composing state, and then we also have compose context. Do we still have that? Still using that? See, like in the old one, we have this compose context, which um, let's see, it's right. That has changed a lot. Um, but it takes the template and injects it in. Okay, cool. So then the state will just be the string. So we will say, okay, the inventory is like that. Format of the inventory. But that's not going to work. It shouldn't really, should it be an inventory provide? I mean, it probably should. So we'll just say, fuck it. Seems acceptable. So we're putting the inventory into the state. So we have like the other things, and then it just always has access to its bag, basically, right? When we compose the state. Okay, so looking good. Okay, so we register it, then we get them into the context through compose state. State is composed. Now, how does this get into the template? It's the next question, right? We have a thought, which is a type of memory. You can see we have these thoughts. Um, want to make sure that we get these into the agent. We get those from the room state. Um, I guess just pass the state down. See what we're doing with our state. We could probably figure out where it goes. So we have a state, it's composed state. We log it. Um, and see that we have the data here, generating output. I guess that since we're doing function calling now, um, we can just pass the data in. So it's probably fine just to have it here. And then we can have the actions that we want, which are associated with that. So I think we've done pretty good on getting it in. Like that should just get it in without any bugs. And I think that we can actually, in this point, probably just throw away the format inventory because it's just going to like put the entire schema object in. Um, and so then all we need is the inventory action. There should be one action which takes parameters. And the parameters should be like, okay, well, what inventory item is it? Right? The handler. Probably inventory actions should take runtime. Probably need the runtime so that we can access things on the runtime. Like the runtime is where all of our object state is, so we kind of need it to do stuff. Cool. And then um, we say like, okay, cool. So we perform transfer or call some inventory action. Um, Params here. Select one item from another. Probably want the runtime here. And we swap and we now these are going to have to take params, which will come from the function itself. I guess we actually have this, sorry, already here. So um, we would say swap from address, swap to address, um, we want quantity, um, and then we want transfer address, quantity, transfer to address, and quantity. We also want we want swap from contract address, and then we want this to be item contract address, asset contract address, transfer to address and quantity, right? Um, so we have these kinds of inventory actions. Um, and then this is getting close. Let's go look at our create actions. We can see that we have like this create action, which takes the parameters, just put in the validate here. I mean, we don't even need the inventory action at this point, probably. We probably just want like transfer action equals create. And then the handler should actually take runtime memory state params callback and then return something. These are the parameters. Now, we also want it to happen on the network. I guess the other thing is that we don't necessarily want an action for every type. What we want is like an inventory action. Hmm. So maybe we want to keep the inventory action. And we want to create the action of like apply inventory action or something like that. So we'll just undo this. Say like inventory action, create action, perform, and then the action will be well, we want to obviously have the action name. Um, I think that to do, we want to get the actions from the current inventory provider. Maybe it'll work. Enum, like so. There's the provider name, and there's the action that we want to perform, um, which could just be a string for now. Just do a string. You type this. I like to think how you derive that type. But so like, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and then we'll do the params. Now, we could do this as a separate step, and then we're not leaning so hard on it to do one thing. That might be better. 'Cause I feel like if we're trying to, I don't mind spending two LLM calls to try to do an inventory swap, for example. Because I think that I'm just worried that it could get too, like the schema could be too long. It might start to hallucinate. Hmm, probably fine. So we have the inventory action, which calls the handler, right? And then we're gonna say, okay, so we called the inventory action. Well, now we got to register the action. So that, we'll just get that out of the way. So when we have our actions here, we can say agent dot register action. So now it's like, okay, let's go get the provider, find the actions that are available. If there's no action, and then let's call, well, I don't think, hmm, probably find it. That's silly. Maybe we want a map or something. So we register them. Then they're not an array, and they don't like find. We have the provider. If no provider is found, return um, if the action, if we find the action that matches, then let's go. Otherwise, no action. And then the action has a handler. You can see that the action has a handler, right? But we don't know. Um, at this point, I can imagine a world where we put in the variables into the inventory provider so that like it says hey, if you call swap, then these are the variables that are available for swap. You have to put in contract from address, contract to address, whatever. Mm, it's definitely more performant to do it that way, but then we're really making our context quite large. So I think we have to think about that. Each provider is going to have its own, like, they're all going to have basically the same thing for mint or swap or whatever. Imagine you're in a game and you want the action to be like wield, equip. You can definitely do that. Doesn't even have to be like a Web3 thing. It'd be more performant to do it all in one call. But I try to stay away from that because I've had bad experience in the past. But we're in the future now. It's possible that the hallucinations are much better. We just don't know what parameters are gonna be. Hmm, right? Like we don't know. I guess we just say params, and then we can pass the params for provider name and action, and then this becomes params dot params. But we could also say arguments. I like the word arguments. Um, and so then that would probably just work, right? I don't think I'm missing anything. So we get the context of the registered inventory providers, and we'll have to make those. I mean, this would work with hard-coded data, but we still need to have like an actual inventory provider um, and inventory action. And if I look, I can see that I have this inventory provider registered as a swap action, which takes these parameters, which maybe we want to be, I think that will, okay, maybe it's confusing because some stuff is saying arguments. We really want is probably like this, ramps up parameters. Um, so then console, calling action, ramps. Okay, so now when you register an inventory item, you're going to register actions which have names, um, and then it's going to go look for that action and verify that its name exists. Then it's going to try to call it if it exists, and it's going to pass down. It's going to call the handler of that action with the parameters that were provided. So we can see we get the provider, like let's say this is Polygon, and then we get the action, which might be like swap, and then we pass down the parameters here. So the only weakness I see is that it's not going to know what the parameters are here unless we have some way for the uh, composed state to get those. Although if it has the list of actions, it will have the parameters for each of them because they're right here. You probably say from contract address to, you can say from to, um, but we need to make sure that those are probably contract addresses or wallet address. I guess that's a contract address. So you probably just want to say from contract address. I think that's going to be more self-documenting for the model. Okay. Okay, I think that's something. Probably something. Let's look at the runtime. We can clear that out. Inventory. We don't even need this. Status. Um, Get checkout of HB inventory. Okay. All right, I feel okay about this like general inventory system. So we've made the inventory first class. The inventory is something that we can register wallets on. We'll probably have to then make a actual implementation here. That shouldn't be too hard. We have like Solana dying a little bit, but I want to keep building. I feel like plenty of time to die when I'm dead. Just have to keep shipping. Okay, so let's go look at how this will work with like plugin Solana, for example. This will be cool too because you can do like a merch, like you can buy like I don't know, digital assets. You can have like a store. Maybe the store has like ship to address, and it can like someone can be like, okay, well, if I send you some money, will you like ship me a shirt? It could be like a real world asset or something. Doesn't have to be minting. Um, the actions are all per inventory provider. I'm not too worried about inventory providers like being too many of them because most people are probably just going to have like one or two, and it's probably fine if there's like three or four or five. Um, Now, what happens if I have an EVM wallet? Let's just think about that for a second. And I have four different host that I'm on, then I think that I should register which RPCs I care about. Um, and then it will generate a new inventory provider for each one. So if I have four wallets, four inventory providers. And then each one has its own way of handling itself. Um, so I think that would probably work. See, I have this plugin Solana. We should probably make sure that we have one of each thing. Crazy. We're even using this to begin. Seem like we are. I don't know why I'll just put it in here. I also don't want to put the plugin into this, at least. Think about this. So we don't have the registry yet. We want to make sure that development is going to be easy. Hmm. I guess I could just do this and it's fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lost that shit. Core dependencies. Yeah. We'll delete the pump fun SDK. I don't think we have this like swap now. I don't think we need that. Probably just want the token provider. We don't need even need token. We're just using wallet. Why not just force it? And I think we just need the wallet. That's all we care about. And we want the swap and the transfer. Oh no. Swap. Those. Decimals. Okay. It's swap. That's action. Primers is declared. This ain't gonna work. Really fine. Okay. And the rest of this, well, we'll have to. A lot of this is not gonna work. That's fine. I'm gonna clean this up. This will be fine. All right. Uninstall. Things here have been destroyed. Action example. Let's just get rid of the action examples. Although I think we will want that. Okay. Handling. Okay. Oh, compose context is no longer a thing, I guess, because we just call the state. Whatever. We'll deal with that. I don't really care about this. I just want to get this thing in. Okay, so now let's think about this functionality really quick. We have actions, we have swap. That's great. Swap, transfer, wallet. That's pretty much it. We can also do this. Like that. Yeah, we're throwing, so we don't need this. Cool. Finishes here. Solvable. Generate object deprecated. Generate object. That's also going to be. Okay. So now we have our Solana plugin kind of ready to go. Let's look at the interface for it. So you can see we have a plugin. It's got some actions. Hopefully these. So right now, this is a plugin that's adding actions. What we want are inventory providers. You can add those to the plugin. That's certainly doable. Um, Let me think about this. Maybe the way to kind of start with this is like a dummy plugin. Doesn't really matter because we're already like pretty far along with that. just do it. Dummy inventory. Save it. Package plugin dummy inventory. Cool. And then we'll just get rid of these. Well, we can keep the sort of format. Oh, we should get rid of that. Cool. Actually using this anywhere. Sort it out. Just delete these types. Keep it simple. So for the dummy inventory, what we're trying to do, we can uninstall. Build's gonna fail on one of them. Fail on more than one of them. That's fine. Let's go look at our. So we have inventory providers and inventory actions, right? These are not regular providers and actions. They're specific to the inventory and they're like sub actions. The reason we're doing this is because we don't want to have 5 swaps. We want one swap. But then that swap needs to call the appropriate inventory action for the inventory that it's on. I think that makes sense. Which was an easier way. Straightforward way. I guess we'll just try it. And we'll make some changes to our interface. So we'll move the transfer action to here. Right? And then we will move the swap action. We imported. And then the provider is probably fine. We want to keep the inventory action here for now. And then we'll import the, we can put the, we just got a couple more things to do. We got to go to plugins. I'll say dummy plugin, dummy inventory plugin. Okay. Then in our index, we can do that. Now the plugin's registered. The only last thing we gotta do is make sure that our register plugin registers new inventory items. And then well, I get that part, but we want to, do we want to iterate through? Um, we killed it. Maybe just the runtime takes plugins, then we're like, okay, let's iterate through them and register them dynamically in the constructor. Okay, let's see. Source time again. Basically, this is got plugins for each. Um, morning. How's it going? Doing all right. Streaming to some people probably. We're very bored, I'm sure. We're trying to figure out what the fuck I'm doing, if I know what I'm doing at all. Um, yeah, I'm working on V2 right now, so I'm sort of chatting through it. Um, you know, yeah, cool. So I found the bits I'm looking for. Hmm. I can invite you too. It's not really ready for most people though. We're trying to keep it down to just some of the people who can give us feedback right now. Don't get distracted with it. It's not ready yet. I'm like solving the problems that so that we can put the whole team on it. We're just trying to get one provider, one of everything. You know. So yeah, don't worry. I'll get you in there. Okay, so we have the plugin needs register inventory providers, but it doesn't exist on T plugin yet. I don't love the inventory providers. We might do like inventory sources or something like that. Be kind of cool. Inventory connectors. It's all bad. T plugin. T plugin extends plugin, which I guess we'll add two. Cool. So now it registers the plugin. Takes the dummy inventory plugin. So we have here, registers it, registers all inventory providers, injects them into the context. Now we have an action that should consume that context. We should probably make sure, but pretty sure everything else should just work. We have the dummy inventory. Make sure that only specify known properties. Oh, source. Make sure I do this right. I did. I just got to build. Cool. That's looking good. For packages, I think we can just get rid of this. Okay. Build. So I just ditch the plugins a lot. Yeah, that's fine. Let's keep. Okay. I think we have it. I could definitely test this, but I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna push it to main though either. Just core, and then I'll pass it to Lego to review. Um, add dummy plugin, full dummy inventory implementation. I think that like I could grind out the testing on this, but it doesn't really matter until I'm ready to test Solana. I have to do a bunch of environment variables. I'm not just not feeling well, so I'm just gonna make a PR for this draft, send it to him, get his notes, and then once I've kind of got approval that I put it in the right place, everybody likes it. We got to decide if we want this to just be a separate plugin. Kind of like though, it's like a lot easier to inject into the state if it's in the runtime. And I just think that like agents should have an inventory. They should have stuff. I have stuff. Yeah, I like having stuff. Like I want to be able to like wield a sword, or I want to be able to like burn a token. I think it's a good abstraction that will work for a lot of things. It's pretty flexible. I haven't seen that in any other agent yet, other than like some, it's like each it's you have many different inventory sources, and maybe I'm confusing things by calling them inventory providers. I'll just rename it to inventory source. Does that make sense? Sound good? But like an inventory source would be like a Polygon wallet, but it could also be like your in-game assets that are not on chain. It could also be like you have a merch store, and then okay, well, what are the actions that that provider, that source, say, can actually give you? Well, I could like sell it to you, okay? Well, or I could ship you an item. So it's like under the conditions that you send me the money, you send me $20, and I'm like, well, you didn't give me your address. Give me your address. Like, okay, here's your address. Okay, cool. I'm gonna ship this to you, and then I have like a ship to function, for example. So it should be able to satisfy all of the constraints of all of those different possibilities. I think that would be good. Yeah, cool. And then we can get like a Shopify inventory, or we could get a game inventory or a wallet. I think it's good. I'll make a PR for this. Um, Good morning. Um, we're using services to describe a different kind of abstraction here. Generally, like we have services for like a text transcription service or like a voice generation service. Here, what we're really trying to describe and encapsulate are all of the different actions you could call in all of the different inventory contexts. You might wield a sword, but you're not going to like wield an item in your wallet necessarily, unless you have a game that lets you import wallets and wield from them. But, probably not, that's something to think about. But that would be pretty easy if you're like, okay, I'm making a game on Polygon, so I'll make like a custom Polygon provider, inventory provider or whatever. But you'd probably for the Polygon wallet have like transfer, mint, um, swap, etc. That's not necessarily true. Like it could just pull it and hydrate it from the database every time. So it shouldn't be too much. It's also not a terribly lot of memory. Like the thing that's going to take a lot of memory is the clients. Like running a Discord client takes half a gig of memory per instance of the agent. Um, yeah, holding all of your inventory state probably takes like, you know, 50K, 100K, something like that. Shouldn't be too bad. Yeah. Um, and the actual functionality there, it depends on which wallets you load in. But we're doing a dynamic plugin system now. So you will like from the CLI, maybe I'll just like ship this kind of as a draft, and then I'm gonna work like I'll have a drink of coffee, and then I will consider continuing and working on the CLI because that's kind of fun. So like what I want is for the CLIs where we really want to go is that the agent actually starts to build its own personality. And like, like, like when I were having the craziest conversation before this, of like, okay, so your agent starts with like a name, and it like has like a birthday, basically. Maybe it even gets like its astrology sign from the birth. I'm not saying I believe in astrology, but I'm saying it's a really good way to randomize your character a bit and like make it unique. Um, Kind of, just maybe there's an evolutionary reason for astrology, which is just like distribution. I don't know. And then you're basically from there, the character doesn't know anything about themselves, and they're like, well, who am I? It's like, well, you're an AI agent. Okay, cool. And then it like stores that fact about itself into its character file. Like, I am an AI agent. Or you could be like, no, you're a circus clown performer. Okay, well, I guess that's what I am. And then it could kind of like update and evaluate and change its personality over time. And then it becomes like a reflection of where it is. And it's kind of like we are talking about like an agent is sort of like we are reflections of our environments in a lot of ways. We have like some things that are unique to us, but generally it's like how we respond to environments and the way that I speak is like I speak like I'm from California because I'm from California. The words that I know are technical because I talk to a lot of technical people. My entire identity is like I'm a programmer because I program all the time. So I think it's cool that agents could like evolve like that, and it'd be very compelling for the kind of social agent stuff we're doing. But it's not really good for business. So it's like we're trying to figure out what's the loop here where you could have like business, and then you could have, like a business agent just needs to have a fixed personality, like it's an assistant does this. But we want everything else to be fully dynamic. So that's kind of what we were thinking, and I don't know how we got here, but I've been thinking a lot about this as like the next crazy leg we could go with V2 wouldn't be very hard. Yeah, it's very interesting. I've always thought that V3 would be like the full autonomy, put it in a robot thing, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We're getting really close. All right, I'm gonna set the dummy for this. But my point being there that if we have a CLI, that you'd be like, okay, like birth a new agent. What is the agent's name? Well, okay, give it some connectors, give it some models. Bam, it like appears in your Discord. Like, who am I? What the fuck is going on? Oh, well, let me explain this to you really quick. I think that would be like a really, then it all like happens in the database. There's no character file. You could export the character file to transfer the character somewhere else, but it would be more like an interchange than less like a thing you edit. Um, so yeah, but I love to figure out a way that that could be self-generating as well as human editable and observable, because then we kind of learn what's going on and can tweak it and or we could be like, okay, freeze the personality. This is it. So the next thing I'm going to do is work on a CLI to do things like sorry, the way I got here was dynamic plugins. So we're working on a CLI, and the idea is that you will just be able to be uh, like npx Eliza uh, add plugin, uh, to some character at Eliza OS slash plugin dash wallet dash launcher or something like that, right? And then that would like add it. Yeah, I love that. Maybe we just take his fucking CLI as like some practice for Claude. And we're like, okay, look, we're gonna build a similar thing. I'm down. Oh, oh, to add new component registry. Hey, 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 give that shit to me. Yeah, totally. We've already kind of got like a registry cooking for plugins, but like I think that it'd be great to look at what somebody else is doing, and then like since a lot of our devs are React devs, just kind of making it similar to other things we're already used to is I think a great win. Totally. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, cool. I might die or like fall asleep. I'm feeling very very sick right now, but I want to like build, so I'm gonna stream that will force me to not go to bed, but I probably should. So. Yeah, yeah, I will. Cool. See ya. Do like the CLI though. It's pretty hot. Look at this shit. Um, it's got registry. It's got transformers, index. I don't hate it. I also don't really want to like build a freaking CLI totally from scratch. Like it's kind of nice to have something that's just already kind of cooking. Diff in it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Maybe we'll do that. And I can also just like throw it in Claude and be like, give me a CLI that's kind of like this, but for my thing. Okay, let me finish out the draft PR. This is a add draft inventory implementation and dummy inventory provider. PR to propose a adding inventory to the runtime base class, to the runtime class. So let's call it agent runtime class. Right. Inventory can be wallets, in-game inventory stuff, or real world inventory like a Shopify shop. General implementation extends beyond Web3. Core implication is that you can add many inventory sources like inventory source, inventory provider. I might have to change that. Core implication is that you can add many inventory sources without getting clashes in the actions. There is one perform inventory action, which then calls the appropriate inventory item, or it calls the appropriate action with the appropriate parameters, right? We'll request send it. Um, I like that you can build radically different kinds of agents, but the core is like just the same. Makes me very happy. Cool. Okay, great. Detected. Love it. Let's make sure we didn't add any crap. Seems okay. This is probably not good. Well, I mean, it's fine because the inventory action is actually not in the plugin. Okay, seems okay. I think that's fine. Cool. I accept. Be right back. Take a break from the stream. BRB. I have returned. That Let's reset this stuff. Going. Too many Eliza channels now. Okay, I've been pretty sick for the last few days, which has been frustrating because I really want to like just be focused on building wartime, but man, sometimes, but I refuse to give up until I absolutely have to. There is shit to be done. Okay, I feel pretty good about this. Um, I will get the review on the inventory implementation. Oh, cursor update. Let's do it. You're gonna see my horrible screen. Let's get it. Yeah. Um, I like the cursor updates because they usually include new things, faster prompting, stuff like that. So I'm gonna switch over to main again, and I have this like get checkout dash b plugins status get add packages. I'll just like put it up, although it's a draft. Oops. Add pared down Solana plugin. Needs some work. Didn't live en route. Good for tests. We'll just like push it here until we have the registry loaded and make sure that it works nicely with with development. Trying to think of like what the best way to develop is. Draft. Um, this is just to get plugin working with inventory. Probably don't want this in here. Term, but if it works with Solana, it'll work with UVM. Yoke. All right. Inventory unified wallet abstraction. I think that's kicking. Um, just kind of two other things. Well, I already gave the Lego the model providers today. We talked about it a lot. I made like a basic implementation. We're gonna do an event system. Um, we basically have like event hooks and we have calls, function calls and event hooks. Um, a function call we'll see we're just calling them calls. We'll see what the file naming is. But the idea is that you can like register a delegate. Um, a delegate would be like a function that you don't know what it is until runtime. But then when you register it, you can call it, and as long as it matches the interface, which means it has the right inputs and outputs for that thing that it's trying to do, then it should be able to call. So you could have like an anthropic model as a delegate. So it calls the generate text call. But then if it fails, it could then fall back to like the OpenAI, for example. So you can now have multiple different model providers, and it will just run them in order that they're added. And if you have something like an embedding model, then in theory, if it doesn't have an embedding model, it'll default back to the first um, one that does. And we can do this with different kinds of things. So right now it's with models, but we'll probably be able to call um, other things where you could register like, okay, I have two different transcription services, for example. I have like a local and a cloud. And if the cloud fails, then I'll fall back to the local for some reason. Um, yeah, so that's the bit. Um, and then the events would be like, okay, well, I have a memory created. I'm definitely going to save the memory. I don't need to like middleware the memory, but I do want to be able to subscribe to memory. Like, let's say I have a system that I want to um, like sell all of my data to the blockchain for crypto or something, and I go work with like a data provider, then it'd be pretty cool to have a plugin that just hooks into the memory created and just like automatically takes every memory and like ships it up. So the agent is just like vacuuming up stuff and throwing it, in onto the chain or something without changing my memory system or having to like fuck with that where my data is actually being stored. So events are nice because they can just like fire and forget, like go do a thing, and then the calls are like go call one of the delegates. Um, and we'll see. Maybe we'll call them like registered delegate and call I don't know. I just don't want to add as much nomenclature. It gets confusing for people, especially people who are new. Um, so yeah, this is the thing we really want to cook on. Um, yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, I love this. This is so hot. Look at this. You can do all this bits. So ShadCN has I mean, there's a lot of CLIs, um, but I think I like theirs. Also, like Feathers has a CLI. I like the Feathers CLI. Um, it has been deprecated and is read only. But you can see that you can do like Feathers help, Feathers generate. You can generate like a new app, upgrade the app, do all this kind of cool stuff. Let's see if they have a new one. Yes. Did they just like put the CLI into the monorepo? Probably. That's what I would do. So you can see you can do like NPX feathers. Mm. Now, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. They have a lot of different code in here, but the actual CLI seems to be pretty small. Startlingly small. Like, where are the commands? Hook. Mm. Oh, I see they have generators. And they have, what is this commander? Interesting. I guess it's all just generators. That's interesting. So if we look in generators, we can see we have all of these like an app generator, and this generates a new application for you. They have like and then they have templates you can use. Um, Seems okay, but I kind of think the Shad CN is probably a better direction because it's a little simpler and it's more like component registry oriented, which is probably what we want. We're not really trying to generate like a feather, so we're trying to like add a registered plugin or something like that. So I'm gonna do that. We're gonna cheat. I mean, it's not really cheating, it's open source. Shad CN Shad is like a library on top of React for components. It's nice. Make these like cool components. Uses Tailwind, which is very nice. Um, and usually in the packages folder, you'll find CLI. There we go. Okay, just take this. CUI. We will straight up just mine that shit. Mine. Okay, let's just go look and let's see what we got here. So it's looking for a root ts config, which we don't have right now. Might, I think in core, let's see what we did in core. I think that in core, we actually, like everything else imports the core config. You can see it's like this. What the fuck is source? Is this source? Never seen that. Oh, I see. Somebody added that. Seems fine. But if I look at tsconfig, it doesn't import. But let's say I go to a plugin. So the abstract plugin. It pulls from the core tsconfig. Okay, well, you can probably start there. It's probably fine. Um, Probably fine. Then something else. I'm just gonna say shad cn UI. Gotta delete some junk. Change log. But it's gonna be wrong. So we're just gonna do like tests. But none of these are gonna be right. Not even close to right. We'll just delete tests. Rest seems fine. Now we have different commands. We have add, which installs a component. Diff, which goes into utils and gets things like registry. Okay, cool. Um, some transformers, which you can handle like JSX. So we don't need, so we don't do those. We might do the import, but we're definitely not going to do the rest. I don't even think we're going to do this. I think we don't use transformers really, so I think we're just going to ignore that part. We're just going to ignore transform. We don't even want that shit. Which is, um, yes. Sayonara is saying could go the same for plugins. Exactly. That is why I'm doing this because I'm thinking exactly that is we could make it like a shadcn stuff. And if you've used shadcn before, or like, which is kind of also copying some of the other CLIs, like generally we want to make things like familiar for people. Then I think it's going to be like a really good. I mean, we don't even need this transformers. What am I doing? We don't need transformers at all. Just get the hell out of here. I'm just gonna throw it away because we're not gonna use it, and it's just gonna be a bunch of junk. Farmers. So yeah, we'll get some errors, but that is acceptable. So now we have commands. We have registry. It checks. You can see we have a base components registry. Registry. Eliza OS registry. Look at this. Look at this beautiful registry. So, and it points to the actual files, but we need like a registry.json, plugins.json. Would not be nice. Not yet. Probably doable to generate though. Okay, so this is our component registry, or plugin registry. So you can just add a plugin. Now we'll want to load it. This is brand new stuff. This is so hot. We'll want to load this and let you install from it. And then we can like set things as being like official, unofficial, has tests, doesn't have tests, throw warnings if things are like good or not good. Yeah, we'll figure that out. This is a hot new thing. Um, and we're just gonna say like, okay, let's just talk to Claude first. Um, go to V2 and go to prompt, packages, CLI, source. Um, Obviously, we will have to fix the component registry URL. So maybe I'm just going to send a message real quick. I'm going to go find the component registry URL. I'm going to send it off to our team and be like, yeah, let's get this going. Give me this. I just want this exact thing. Do they have a registry package? CLI. And this is in utils. Um, Send a message off. Get CJFT in here. We should copy this registry. I'm gonna use Shatian CLI as kind of a base. Let's see. So there's registry index, and we can see that if we fetch the base URL, let's see, what does fetch registry do actually? I imagine just adding the base URL to, oh, slash registry. Okay, cool. So if I go and I look at like cn.com slash registry slash index.json, looks like it is. Um, Might already exist, I'm just not aware. In fact, let's just see. Let's see if we can find it. I bet you there's already a JSON registry. Why would they make a whole website and not do that? Tell me if is it not public? It might not be public. Index.json. Oh, I bet you it loads from somewhere. This isn't a static page. See if we can just find it in the network. Plugins. It's a post. Copy URL. That's weird. Well, we like saw it, right? We saw it. Yeah. I don't want to scrape. And I'm sure that there's like a way to just get this. It might be a fork. What is it? Is it Yoda Master? Oh, that was him. I remember. One of these guys did it. It's been cooking. I don't see it. But I did definitely see a registry. So let me see if I feel like he sent me a link. Definitely a thing. Yeah, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Registry. Index. Oh, look at this. Oh, sick. So sick. That's all I wanted. And I get the raw file here. And you can see, there we go. There's our registry. Okay, so let's go look at the ShadCN registry. You can see it's got name, dependencies, files, type. Um, I don't even think we need all that. We just need, I think we need dependencies. Although, like, we will eventually. V1 can probably survive without it. Okay. Um, cool. Found the registry. Um, I'm building a CLI tool. I'm using ShadCN as a base, but I don't. But my tool is called Eliza, and um, let's see. And I want to change it completely, but using the same style and format ShadCN. Here is the registry for plugins to use. Um, Here are the plugins themselves. So the format. And I'll just put in like, I mean, maybe I'll skip down to like some of the plugins. Format, good. Let's go back to our GitHub issue. Um, okay, here are the actions I want to perform. Here are the commands I want to perform. Installing and setting up new project. Adding, removing plugins, enabling plugins per agent, secret management per agent, add or remove plugins to the database, enabling plugins per agent, add or remove plugins to the database, uploading or loading characters into the database, backup, load, queue, edit, load, export, or erase memories. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Fucking, what did you do? Whatever. First, let's just come up with a plan and outline all of the commands we'll need, the args we'll need for those. And then I think that what we're going to do is we're also going to pass in the SQLite. Just come up with a plan, outline all the commands we'll need, the args we'll need for those. Um, since we're, oh yeah, we need to set up a database. Default, um, we'll use the database where, um, let's see. So, okay, so one big thing is we want to initialize a new project and set up the database there. The default should be SQLite with other options loaded from the plugin registry, the ones that start with adapter. It's kind of boring, but this is kind of how I think. Um, hold on, sorry, giving giving some advice. Okay, so um, with our plugin registry that we have, which I seem to have lost, Dash registry, um, github.com/Eliza registry plugins. Dang it. Is it in? Oh, right. I will add these to it. Um, cool. Also, we need to set a database. We'll use the database um, ones that start with adapter. For database operations, we'll use the database we've set up. Um, all right, bunch of drama. See what happens. And it um, creates a fresh one. Plugins, agent. We can add, remove list plugins, add, remove list secrets. Um, I think pretty good. think that character, um, the character um, is agent. So let's move the character file stuff, import, export, list, move into the agent. So it's like Eliza agent, um, import Eliza agent, export Eliza agent, list Eliza agent. Yeah, I want to see something. Can you tell me AI 16Z slash Eliza or Eliza slash Eliza? So, cutoff is April of 2024. Damn, we're not scraped in yet. That's um, kind of interesting, but I'm not going to use Gemini. I've yet to be convinced. Um, see all the people. All right, cool. So yeah, you will just initialize from this. Um, okay, and we'll just say like, great. We have, let's see, we got this CLI here. Um, let's let's start by rewriting the index.ts. Um, make sure we get rid of this shit. We don't need templates, do we? Figure this out. Get config. Okay, yeah. Writing ts big.ts. Save project.json, not components.json. Um, forcing bun, removing package manager. We get rid of all this because it's all just type, project info, React, TW, etc. Layers is fine, large is fine, resolve import, it's Gucci, use TSX. I don't think this matters, but whatever. I don't want it to. I think the adapters will need, it's gonna be a little bit of a thing to think about. It's fine. Big. This is gonna be buggy, but it'll be all right. The index.ts. So CLI. Okay. Now let's rewrite the registry.ts and schema.ts. Doesn't seem right. Registry is much more bare bones. The type is determined by the name client plugin adapter. We have no params. Juicy. And so the schema is very simple. Very, very simple. And we'll have to actually probably modify it because it's too simple. But good for starting, because I don't want to change the other side. And this will at least get us going. Registry slash index dot schema. Yes. What? They're expected to contain all source utils. What are you going for? Okay. Start coding that shit. I need her. There. Okey-doke. Cool. All right, now let's write out the list of commands. This goes into init.ts. Holy. Okay. Up to prompt is for paste in my core source code. Um, let's rewrite all of those commands to be in line with our core and break them up into separate ant docs. It's easy to work. Cool. Now let's go look at our package. cn at Eliza os/cli os twitter.com/ it's Eliza os. No, it's fucking that bullshit. Um, repository Eliza os/Eliza. It's kind of v2 right now, but whatever. Files are dist. Now there should be a bin publish config. Um, it's probably at the root. The CLI probably doesn't have the actual bin in it. It's probably somewhere. Would it be? It's probably just this, right? Yeah, that's CN. Let me see. Cool. Let's figure out what they're doing. And then I wonder if that's where it is. Usually there's like a bin. Surprising. I have to call this from NPX, so I want to register the command. I'm trying to think about where that, and I want to do it with, I want to try and get Eliza if possible, but that might not be possible. So we'll just say, okay, do I need to get this to run on NPX? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, there we go. That's what I was thinking. That's weird. I see, because the name is not the same. NPX. Okie doke. Bin. Okay, that solves that part, I think. If not, we'll figure something out. And init plugins. Oh, or even better, just okay. Init. that. Oak. And it's plugins here. We need to import it as a default this agent. Well, that we're gonna have to solve. Okay, full agent. I think I'm like about 1,000 times faster with cursor. Probably 240 times faster. Okay, that's reasonable. I am right on that shit. Let's see. Hmm, There. This ain't gonna get fixed. Did I fuck it up? I did fuck it up. Doke. Repository. So clearly the problem is just like importing the stuff directly from Eliza. I am streaming the development of the CLI. just kind of getting it stubbed out, and then I will pass it on for reviews for some people, and maybe sometimes once I finish it. But I'm getting it pretty close. Let's see. Um, got a few database. Important. Let's see. Okay, so if I create a new project, a lot, I will need to stream. Hmm. Okay, so let's say I'm like creating a new project, right? I'm like, I need a new project. What I want to do is pull down everything for that project. And then I'm wondering, will I need the database adapters in order to manipulate the database? Hmm. Need to manipulate the database user. Um, or not. I mean, I could just be like, if the project's not admitted, then, well, you can't do anything, brah. And then we have like a setup phase. Um, we probably need some sort of template, right? Like the agent will need a template to load the plugins appropriately. Um, otherwise, I'll have to think about this. Like, how will we load the project? Like let's say we're cloning of the starter. Once we clone the starter, we want to dynamically load the plugins. If we install the plugins, they should just like npm install into the project. Um, and we have a template. This is the tricky bit. Which plugin, like which database do I want? I mean, let's just say we're just doing SQLite. Then we can just edit the SQLite project. But then, like, am I running a full agent in the CLI? Or what am I accessing? Hmm. So, um, so let's say we're creating a project and we have github.com livos/Eliza-starter, right? Um, um, I want to configure that to choose one of the database adapters, any number of clients, and any number of um, plugins. The plugins should be dynamically loaded, ported into the agent. But since it's a multi-agent system, each agent has different plugins, but probably have one adapter. Mm, uh, that's a good question, actually. Like, if each one has a different database adapter, probably shares the same. They share the same database. So it's one adapter for all agents. I'm thinking I can make a database.ts template, which is saved over, which is dynamically loaded into the agent. Um, there may need to be a plugins.ts as well, and an npm install step. Um, right? Um, it'd be a lot easier if, no, that's fine. Um, which have a list of all available plugins. Install them. Each agent can load the plugins it wants, but the plugins need to be installed into the repo, obviously. Um, the CLI will not have access to the database until the database.ts exists, and it should load secrets from a .m for the database. Unless it's SQLite, no secrets needed. We'll check and yell for the secrets if they're missing at runtime to keep it simple. Oh, um, no, that's wrong. I don't want a clone. I want this to all happen magically from one line. Um, the cloning setup, everything should happen in a CLI, assuming the user has nothing installed. It should work on Mac, PC, and Linux if there's any reason it wouldn't. So let's see. Clone the starter repo if not in an existing project. Set up database configuration. Install base dependencies. Create necessary configuration files. This. It's gonna be an npx command, so you just be like npx Eliza init. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Let's write out the entire init.ts and any other changed files. Now we'll probably have to change the starter. That's fine. We can just add the starter as a to core. I think that's the way to do it. I mean, it's weird that it's not in core. I think there's a copy of it in core. It's not good. Create Eliza app. I see, I see. So there's create Eliza app in core. I don't think this is done. This doesn't look done. Oh, I guess it kind of is. But I think that we're replacing this. npx Eliza new. I think what we'll do, I mean, I like the idea. It like pulls this. Let's say no, but it could. npx Eliza start. It's not a bad idea. We'll just call this bit into v2. So we have a Eliza starter. It's got a lot of plugins. We don't want that. We want any of this. See simple express in here. It's weird. Keep it simple. How do we get a fucking license? Okay. Okay. Let's try it out. Entirenet.ts. Source utils templates.ts. Source cells. Space, space schema. Yes. See the difference. Okay. And then we go here. Now, hmm, hmm. I want to publish this for sure, but it's a little broken. I guess I could probably just do it though. npm publish access equal no TP. Okay, let's see if it publishes. And then I imagine we'll get errors, of course. Well, I also didn't run build. Run build. That makes sense because I don't have the memory and the knowledge. I guess I didn't put them in. Did it with 5. Scan. Just make sure we're not aping their shit at all. No, seems okay. Status. Um, publish. Run dev init. Let's see. Run scripts. Okay, cool. Some stupid bullshit. Yay. Okay, we have npx Eliza init. All I wanted. Do it. I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm dying now. So I'm gonna pause this and put it on draft and probably hand it to somebody to wrap up. But we generally have a CLI. Well, let me see. I got a few things I didn't finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. I want to make sure that I add the knowledge to the commands. Um, please generate the knowledge.ts and memory.ts commands. Let's kind of step it out. Let's see. Git draft CLI. Nope. Git the draft CLI. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do. You can't just clone that thing in and make it work. That's not even close. We have to make sure that we clone the repo, we do it with the right registry plugins so that it loads the right database adapter. A lot of our commands need to check if we have the database adapter configured. Then, if they do, we will import maybe dynamically the like existing plugins.ts and a memory or database.ts or whatever, so that we can operate on it from the CLI, even though we're like operating in the project. We should also check so that we don't like do stuff unless we're in a project and warn the user. There's a lot to do. So let's see, repos to draft CLI. This is a proposal for a CLI. There are many things left to do. For example, um, should correctly clone um, user if init, check if already initted and ignore. Um, Otherwise, clone starter template and start setting up. So, user should choose a database. SQLite requires no config. They will need to config the database. Otherwise, how do we get the right config bars for them? This should be shared with the template. Um, User should be able to swap the database. Um, User should be able to install new plugins, which go into a plugins.ts and are npm install into project. On remove, they are unloaded and uninstalled. Kind of set up, but not tested. Probably broken. CLI tool can manipulate the database with characters, secrets, um, agents, include characters, secrets, knowledge, and memories. Make sure memories are part of the agent, not a separate CLI command. Um, um, what else? What else? What else? What else? Um, Import and export character files, which include everything except secrets on export. Secrets with character file exists. Um, Agent create should create a flow or a new agent. Some help on what to do next. Um, could handle running the project, so users don't need to learn Bun or whatever. Bun or whatever. Right? Is there anything else? Um, Starter is probably wrong. It needs a lot of work to function as a template. Starter is based on V1, not V2. So we'll need to entirely rethink the character loading, etc. Okay, so do be like that. Um, let's see. So if we get the CLI in, that will like dramatically improve the user experience for making their own Eliza project, like dramatically. Um, oh, we also need, we should think about this. Um, let's see, like how do we registry plugins should have like a secrets.json or something defining um, what secrets are needed for them to run. Um, right now we have agent secrets and global secrets. Probably want to keep this to keep it simple. The character secrets overriding global secrets to globals if non-existent. Cool. I think this is pretty good. This is going to solve a lot of problems if we can get this cooked. A lot, like a lot of problems. NPX, Eliza, and it. Is it going to work? It might not work. It doesn't look like it's going to work. No, it's not. So we need something like Eliza OS. That's probably going to have to be Eliza OS. I don't see another way. So package bin Eliza OS. Let me just make sure this is right. Is everything set up to call npx Eliza OS correctly? Just work. Um, okay. Git commit live OS. Okay. We won't know for a while because we'll have to publish it. CLI npm publish equals public. That OTP. Don't hack me, bro. Crazy, someone hack me. Okay. That will Eliza OS in it. Gonna determine executable run. Oh, well, that's my fault too. I'm just gonna keep hacking on. Fuck. You know what fucking sucks? Um, it's probably gonna give me a hard time about the package name. Can I delete packages from npm? Probably not the package name, but the version is head. Delete the package. That'd be nice. Delete the package. We're gonna try this again. 0.1.6 version. Yeah, publish. Add Semver. I think it probably just hasn't been processed yet. I'm very bad. That's there's to it. Whatever. It'll be fine. We'll figure it out. Cool. Okay. CLI started. I'm gonna take a break. Then 4 hour session. Uh, I will catch you guys later. Probably do this a lot more if I start feeling better. I'm gonna fly out tomorrow, so not tomorrow, but probably as much as I can next week. I'll just be sitting and doing this thing.